Hello and welcome to New Bucks Head in Telford, home of Wolverhampton Wanderers, for what is arguably the biggest game in this club's 50-year history. A place in the Adobe Women's FA Cup quarter-finals is at stake, but to get there, third-tier Wolves will have to pull off a monumental shock against the current holders, Manchester United. United swatted aside Tottenham 4-0 at Wembley last May to lift their first ever major trophy, and Mark Skinner's side have gone from strength to strength since then. They currently sit second in the WSL behind Chelsea, who are the only team to have beaten United in the league all season. Wolves, though, under long-serving manager Dan McNamara, are going well too. They are second in the Women's National League Northern Premier, behind Nottingham Forest on goal difference alone, albeit having played an extra game. And this is the second year in a row they've reached the last 16 of the FA Cup, and the third time in 3 years they've hosted a WSL club. On the previous two occasions they pushed West Ham and Brighton mighty close, only to lose late on. So United might not have it all their own way today. They did beat Wolves' divisional and local rivals West Brom 7-0 in the last round, but it remained 1-0 in that game until the 77th minute. What an occasion for Wolves and for all these fans at the New Bucks Head. Almost certainly going to be a record crowd for Wolverhampton Wanderers women today. The FA Cup holders on their own patch. And a strong team that United are putting out this afternoon too. They are showing Wolverhampton Wanderers plenty of respect. Come on to that team news in a bit, but what an afternoon it's going to be. Local children giving their chance to be on the pitch. And Wolves are unchanged from their 1-1 draw with Rugby Borough last week. Former Coventry United midfielder Amber Hughes and summer signing from Nottingham Forest Charlotte Greengrass both have 19 goals this season. Midfielder Tammy George was once on Tottenham's books, and defender Abby Jenner is on a season-long loan from Birmingham. Mark Skinner makes 4 changes to the United team that beat Spurs. At the back, in come Anna Sandberg and Aoife Mannion, as Gabby George and Jade Riviera rested to the bench. In midfield, Grace Clinton replaces Dominique Janssen, who is among the subs, while Melvin Mallard is in for Celine Bizet, who isn't involved today. So Wolves against some of the Lionesses, hey? Maya Letizia, United captain, and England international these days, Ella Toone in midfield for United. Scored in the Euro 22 final, scored at Wembley in the FA Cup final last season. Grace Clinton too, very much part of Serena Wiegmann's plans these days. All of them in the starting lineup. Millie Turner as well, won a couple of international caps recently. The United side packed full of internationals, packed full of former FA Cup winners. But as I mentioned, last season, Wolves came up against Brighton. At this stage, it was 1-1 here going into the second to last minute. Unfortunately for Wolves, it was then a Emma Kullberg hat-trick and Brighton ran out 4-1 winners. But my oh my, that day they showed they could mix it with the teams from the elite division. A couple of years back to West Ham here, 0-0 until the 70th minute. West Ham in the end 2-0 winners. But United scoring goals for fun at the moment in the WSL. Very few teams can stop them. Scored 4 against Liverpool and Manchester City this season, have Manchester United. Scored 5 against the Championship Newcastle in the League Cup. And as mentioned, scored 7 in the last round of this competition against West Brom from the same division as Wolves, but Wolves did beat West Brom 8-0 in the league. And as they joked recently on the Wolves Women podcast, which is a very good listen, perhaps that means Wolves really should start this game 1-0 up. The teams take the knee to highlight no room for racism in football and society. And referee Lucy May gets this Adobe Women's FA Cup 5th round tie off and underway. Wolverhampton Wanderers second in the 3rd tier, the Women's National League Northern Premier, against Manchester United second in the WSL. What an afternoon in prospect. Extra time and penalties should we need it. That would be a story in itself if Wolves could take United to extra time. And looking for an early break, Destiny Toussaint down the right hand side, and Wolves have forced an early throw. What a bright start from the hosts as Grace Clinton plays it back. Hinata Miyazawa, World Cup Golden Boot winner. That again just shows the size of the task ahead for Wolves this afternoon. United's number 25 goals for Japan at the last World Cup. On the ball here. Dan McNamara in the Wolves dugout, been in charge since 2018. What a job he's done, guiding Wolves up from the 4th tier to the 3rd, winning 2 county cups, getting to this stage of the FA Cup on a couple of occasions. And of course, under current rules, Wolves would actually be a championship club. They missed out on promotion in 2022 to Southampton in the playoff final. That playoff final scrapped after the 2023 match in which Watford beat Nottingham Forest. So these days Wolves would be in the championship. But United with an early corner. They have struck in the first quarter of an hour 6 times in the WSL this season, more than anyone else. Can they make this set piece count? Well, it's a wayward corner kick, but it's looped back in and well wide with Beck Thomas's goal. Big afternoon for Beck Thomas between the sticks for Wolves. She's been with the club since she was 8, albeit this is her 2nd spell. Was with West Brom for 8 years and had a 1.5 years with Nottingham Forest. Started out as a junior playing on pitch, but switched to goal when she was 14. Rather enjoyed it, was rather good at it, and has stayed there ever since. And what a servant she's been for Wolves. Letizia to Turner. 2. Great to see Ella Toone back fit and firing. Named WSL Player of the Week. Player of the Month, rather, this week. 5 goals in 4 games in January, having had a couple of months out with injury. She hadn't actually been on target this season until she scored against West Brom in the last round. She has scored 5 in 4, including that one since. Miyazawa with a shot in, comfortable for Thomas. The Wolves crowd getting right behind Tammy George as she surges forward. She too is in her 2nd spell with Wolves, the number 7. Was with Tottenham briefly in 2021, mainly with their under-21 team, but she did train with the first team in the WSL. Grace Clinton wins the free kick for Manchester United. And what a way this is for Wolves to mark their 50th anniversary. Get the chance to rub shoulders with WSL side, the FA Cup holders. Wolves were formed as Heathfield Rovers back in 1974 when Jane Hill spotted an advert in the Express and Star asking if any girls were interested in forming a team. Come a long, long way since. United with an early shot in, and it's trickled wide of Thomas's far post. Lovely pull back, and Toon with the side footer. Not far away. So many pioneering women and some men too who have played a role in the growth of Wolves. Jackie Pickup, Jill Spilsbury. Flag is up. More recently, Jenny Wilkes, who's still with the club and has been growing it ever since 1999. Laura Nichols too, who will leave the club next month. Dan McNamara thanking her in his programme notes for all she's done, fully integrating the Wolves women team alongside the men. Interesting too that the club opted to keep this tie at New Bucks Head, the regular home of Wolves. They have played some big matches at Molineux in recent times, but they really took on board Dan McNamara, the manager's views that it would aid them to play at their regular home ground. Any small advantage, he said, would help the team. Mannion to Toon. Malar back to Toon. Toon with the low cross in. It goes all the way in. It's volleyed home. What a save by Thomas. Oh, a smart save down to her right by Beck Thomas. First serious shot on target from United, 7 minutes in. Mannion again. Malar. Mannion high hanging cross, but it's gone out and behind. This was the Toon ball in. Ball down and volleyed goalwards, I think, by Turlan. And you have to say, what a save from Thomas. Clinton. Decent tackle by Becky Anderson. Another former Nottingham Forest player, Becky Anderson, signed last summer, a few weeks before Charlotte Greengrass followed her here. She was talking this week about how she's had some great games against Wolves in the past, that rivalry between Forest and Wolves. And now very much enjoying a great occasion with them. Hornet whips in. Cleared as far as Miyazawa. Toon with the shots. Bounces in front of Thomas. She gathers it well. It's on target. A pretty comfortable save for Beck Thomas. Here again brings it forward. Mannion is getting a lot of room down this right-hand flank. Clinton to Malar. Toon. Back into Malar. Lovely footwork from the French woman. Takes the shot on over the bar. Really fine footwork from Mallard. Before firing off the shots. Only one start in the WSL this season, more often used as a sub. A couple of goals in the WSL and 4 in all competitions. Clinton to 2. In that West Brom tie in the 4th round, it was Mallard who gave United the lead in the 23rd minute. Destiny Toussaint did have some WSL experience with Birmingham. Said her biggest, or one of her best memories of her career so far is winning at Villa Park in the second City derby for Birmingham. Destiny Toussaint out on the right-hand wing for United. Mallard again to Toon, who was also on target against West Brom. Sandberg with a cross in. Thomas Gavers. Celine Bizet got a hat-trick in that West Brom game. She's not involved this afternoon. As we look again at Sandberg's cross in. Sandberg yet to appear in the WSL. The Swedish 21-year-old playing at left back. Toussaint lets that one roll out of play. Spoke about the job Dan McNamara has done at Wolves. He became last summer the first full-time head coach of Wolverhampton Wanderers women, first ever full-time coach. He is in the RAF, given special dispensation by them, awarded elite athlete status, in fact. First coach ever to get that in the RAF, to allow him to take up the position full-time. Sandberg. Miyazawa disguises the ball. Comes all the way through, and the shot in the end was from Clinton. And she couldn't fully wrap her foot around it. She was in a lot of space. And as I mentioned, United are fast starters. They have been all season in the WSL against much more experienced and stronger defences than Wolves. But they are creating openings minute by minute in the early stages here. You do worry for Wolves that it's only a matter of time before they will take one of these chances. Galton on her 150th Manchester United appearance, picks it up, rolls it back to Toon. Sandberg short to Toon. Galton gets the cross in. Turlan jumps. Drops to Mannion. Clinton. Letizier. High hanging cross towards the far post. Low shot in, takes a deflection. Turland fired it goalwards, but a block took the sting out of it. Really struggling to hold on to the ball. They have won a free kick, some respite. As Beth Merrick was knocked to the turf. Toussaint, can she keep it in? She does. Done really well there. Takes on Sandberg. Toussaint has been the best outlet for Wolves in these early stages, and she's done really well here, has Destiny Toussaint. Low ball in, and it's all the way through to Tutlis Joyce, who's had a fine first season since taking over from Mary Earps, who left for PSG last summer. Manchester United, the best defensive record in the WSL this season. In fact, one of the best defensive records at this stage of a WSL season ever. They've only let in 5 goals. The best at this stage was Manchester City, who had only conceded 3 at this stage of 2016. Mallard, low ball in, comes back to Mannion. Good work by Merrick, really good tackle by Beth Merrick. But United win it straight back. Breathless start from the FA Cup holders. Oh, lovely ball in from Clinton, and Galton went for it on the volley, but the flag was up. That was a delightful pass from Grace Clinton. And Leah Galton had just strayed offside. Header on, and Hughes gives chase. Miyazawa gives it away. Toussaint picks it up. Tries to roll it through to Hughes. Then opts to try and find George. Toussaint again wins a throw-in. What a start Destiny Toussaint has had. Joined them in summer 2022 after leaving Coventry United. One of the more experienced players, and she is making that experience count this afternoon. Another throw for Wolves. Good little spell this. Oh, what a turn. And Wolves have a corner. And the crowd are absolutely loving that. They will know there are not going to be many opportunities this afternoon against the best defence in the country, albeit not all of those regular starters involved today. Corner kick in. And when they get these sort of opportunities, Wolves have to do their absolute utmost to try and make one count. Not on that occasion. United comfortably clear the corner, but it is a Wolves throw midway inside the United half. Clinton on the charge, feeds Galton too much on the pass. It's the other thing that Dan McNamara felt could favour Wolves this afternoon, not playing at Molineux, where of course there is a Premier League standard pitch. And this one at the new Bucks Head is pretty good standard, but obviously not a Premier League playing surface. Manchester United play their regular games at Leigh Sports Village, of course, and that isn't itself a Premier League surface either, but they have played regularly at Old Trafford, some of their bigger games.
Char, you're the foot, the pivot. Char, the pivot, good. Amber, do it. Char, release. Amber, do it. Good, good. Amber, it's you. Amber, this is you. Come on, come on, come on.
Miyazawa.
Work, Am. Yes, you. Good, good. Well done. Now relax. Now relax.
To Mannion.
Well played. Well played. Follow the pivot, Am. Follow the pivot. Char, release. Char, release. That's very good. Your body. Good. Take your rest. Take your rest.
Letizia to Mannion. Mannion tries to pick out Turlan, and Turlan does get there. Turlan plays it towards the penalty spot where the shot from Toon does not unduly trouble Beck Thomas. Looking back at the FA Cup ties Wolves have played in the half-century of their existence, I think this one has to be considered as the very biggest against the FA Cup holders. They did play Red Star Southampton at home in 1992. They lost that game 4-0. Red Star finished as runners-up that season to Doncaster Bells. And Wolves themselves had a couple of games against Donny Bells at the turn of the century, losing 2-0 at home in the 5th round in 1999. 8-0 in 2001, also in the 5th round. United come again. There was a match with Arsenal in 2003 in the 5th round, and Wolves were beaten 4-0. Charlton in round 4 in 2005, when Charlton went on to win the cup. Since then, in the very recent years, West Ham in the 4th round here in 2023. West Ham winning just 2-0. And then last season, Reading of the Championship away when Wolves won 2-1 to set up that match with Brighton when they were level pegging with the WSL side until the 88th minute. Letizia with a long searching ball in, but it's over the head of Galton, and Toussaint can clear. Yes, that Brighton game 4-1 in the end, but 1-1 in the 88th minute before Emma Kohlberg's late hat-trick. Beth Merrick, it was with the equaliser against Brighton last year, the number 28. That was quite a day for her, as is today. Fan favourite, a Wolves season ticket holder, who scored in every round of this season's competition. A secondary school teacher, so many of those school children are here to watch her and cheer her on this afternoon. Miyazawa. Rather hopeful ball from her, but Mallard does get on the end of it. Gets away from Merrick. Mallard with the cross to the far side, but it'll be picked up by Toussaint. In fact, she'll let it trickle out of play. The season after Wolves lost the playoff final to miss out on promotion, they then finished second behind Nottingham Forest on goal difference. Forest themselves losing to Watford in the playoff final. Last season Wolves dropped to 4th. Newcastle it was who won promotion to the Championship. Forest and Burnley also finished above Wolves. Forest and Burnley are now their main rivals again this season. Here's Clinton. Clinton through to Mallard. Mallard surely. Oh, Thomas saves again. Back to Mallard. And it's scrambled away as Toon gets a shot in. Mannion. Oh, what an afternoon between the sticks so far for Beck Thomas. 2 saves that you would not have expected her to make. That the second of them from Mallard, who will be very frustrated that she didn't make that chance count. Letizia with the layoff to Mannion. Two, lovely pass inside to Malar. Receives it, two with the cross in, drops to Malar. Malar again in space. Oh, she plays it across goal and surely it's tucked home now. United finally have the lead. When it has been coming and coming and coming. And Elizabeth Turlat was never going to miss from there. The most predatory of United strikers. And Turlat would have been wishing one of those earlier chances had come her way, but when one finally did, she was there to turn it home from inside the 6-yard box. Her 7th goal in all competitions this season. A woman who hit 13 in the WSL last term when she was on Brighton's books. Only Bunny Shaw of Manchester City scored more. Turlat finished level of 13 with Lauren James of Chelsea. Shows her quality that she was able to do that in a Brighton side. No disrespect to them, but of course outside of the elite. And Elizabeth Turlat it is who finally breaks the deadlock. Wolves holding on a little longer than West Brom did in the 4th round, when United took the lead through Malar in the 23rd minute. But now do the floodgates open, or can Wolves do what West Brom did and stem the tide right till the latter stages? Admittedly, it might already have been more, but for fine saves from Beck Thomas. Mannion. Anderson. Can't win the throw. And it will be Mannion to take for United. Flick off to Turner, to Malar, who arrows it wide. Lovely little layoff it was from Turlat. And Malar didn't quite catch it sweetly enough. This is the second of the 2 matches today being played in the Women's FA Cup 5th round. Aston Villa beat Brighton in a thriller earlier today, came from behind in that game to win 3-2. So Aston Villa the first team through to the quarter-finals. United currently on course to join them. Back to Thomas, who completes the clearance well. Malar. Letizia found some space. Finds Malar. Malar across goal. Toon with the shot in. Wolves managed to scramble it clear. Plenty of action for you on our YouTube channel and the FA Player tomorrow in the Women's FA Cup. As Mannion picks it up for United. Knocked out of play by Beth Roberts, joined from Stoke back in February of 2023, former England under-18 and under-19 player, the Wolves number 22. That's tomorrow on YouTube and the FA Player. Crystal Palace against Newcastle at 1 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock, you can use a multi-view option on YouTube and follow 3 matches at one time. free kick to Wolves. We'll watch them individually on the FA player. Portsmouth against Sunderland, an all-championship clash. Man City against Leicester, an all-WSL tie. And Arsenal, the record 14-time winners, at home to London City Lionesses of the Championship. Can London City Lionesses pull off what would be a huge shock? Arsenal seeing their League Cup defence this weekend in the semi-final with that late goal from Manchester City, Mary Fowler. They are still in the Champions League, of course. Our Arsenal, as are Chelsea and Man City, drawn against each other were Chelsea and Man City this week. Miyazawa. Looping cross in. Malard claims a handball. None given. Dan McNamara, the Wolves manager, is a Liverpool fan, I'm told. Always adds a bit extra to the rivalry, doesn't it? Liverpool, Manchester United. Adds a bit extra to this occasion, rather. Letizier hasn't missed a WSL game for 5 years, Maya Letizier. Started every game in that time for Brighton and Manchester United more recently. Only actually subbed off in 2 of them. Barely misses a minute of WSL action. Clinton. Still Grace Clinton. Toussaint can let that one run. Clinton, of course, spent last season on loan at Tottenham, was their player of the season, but had to miss the FA Cup final because she wasn't eligible to play against Manchester United for Tottenham. How Tottenham missed her that day. United 4-0 winners at Wembley, of course, on an afternoon no one connected with the club will ever forget. Sandberg wins United a corner. More than half an hour played. United lead 1-0. Wolves will be pretty pleased with the opening half hour. Certainly pleased with the scoreline so far anyway. Of course, one-sided scorelines can be a feature of the Women's FA Cup. Wolves themselves were 14-0 winners against Shrewsbury. Header across goal and Malard's missed that one. Oh, that is a terrible miss by a player of her quality. And you just wonder if that earlier chance was still playing on her mind, because she knows she should have beaten Thomas earlier in this first half. And she surely had to convert that one. It fails to hit the target. Mallard on the ball once more. Inside to Clinton. Miyazawa to Turner. Sandberg. Sandberg takes on Toussaint and wins another corner for United. High hanging corner, headed on by Clinton, and then Golson over the bar. United appeal for another corner. It was Turlat who climbed highest with the header. Dropped to Golson. It's off Mallard for the Wolves throw. 10 minutes plus added time till half time. Wolves coaching staff just having a quick word with Beth Roberts. Mallard wins it back for United. Turlan with the receive pass from Clinton. Mannion over the top, picks up by Clinton, but George momentarily won it back. Miyazawa though picks it up for United, and Galton now surging through. Leah Galton into the area, takes a shot on. Oh, and she's found the back of the net. She's squeezed it in. She just spotted the space at the near post, and that's a really intelligent finish by Leah Galton, because she just eyed up the goal mouth. She sized up the positioning of Beck Thomas, and she saw the gap. It may have taken a slight deflection, in fact. And Leah Galton doubles Manchester United's lead with just under 10 minutes till the break. Leah Galton with her 4th goal of the season, 3 of them in the WSL. What a way to mark your 150th Manchester United appearance. Wolves just got to be careful now not to let this completely run away from them before the break, when they can get back into the dressing room here at the new Bucks Head and regroup. Clinton almost found Turlan. The flag was up. Again, just to demonstrate the task at hand for Wolves and the Manchester United squad these days. You've got a combined 37 FA Cup final appearances. If you add up all the appearances by players in the squad, not necessarily the matchday squad this afternoon, but the Manchester United squad and their manager, Mark Skinner, who's been at 3 and FA Cup runner-up with Birmingham and Manchester United before winning it last season. Mark Skinner. Galton with the cross in, Mallard with the header, and again didn't quite connect well enough. And Thomas Gathers, well, she threw herself at it, and Beth Roberts kept close attention, didn't give her any room. Mallard did well to connect, really, but wasn't able to divert it beyond Thomas. So many of the players involved, 14 players in the United squad have been involved in one or both of the last 2 FA Cup finals. United, of course, losing 1-0 to Chelsea in 2023, their first ever FA Cup final, but then getting that shock win over Chelsea in the semi-finals last season before seeing off Spurs in handsome style under the famous Wembley Arch. And so far, the defence of their FA Cup title is going pretty smoothly. Began with a 7-0 win over West Brom in round 4. And they lead another Tier 3 side 2-0 approaching half-time in round 5. Look well on course for the quarter-finals. Toon inside to Galton. Back to Miyazawa. Sandberg picks it up. Toussaint hassles and harries and forces it out for a United throw. And Letizier picks it out of play so that Wolves player can just be attended to. Beth Roberts just had a bit of cramp there. She's pulling her left foot forward. Charlotte Greengrass, the number 12, 5 goals in the last round. That 14-0 win, the third round rather. 14-0 win against Shrewsbury. Player who scored goals for fun for Forest and is doing likewise now for Wolves, 19 this season, but a thoroughly professional start from Manchester United, not underestimating their opponents by any means, have carried the game to Wolves. Were very quickly into their stride, as we're used to seeing in the WSL. There's been chances aplenty, and 2 of them taken. Elizabeth Turlan with the opener in the 26th minute. Leah Golson 10 minutes later doubling the lead. Hinata Miyazawa pulling the strings in midfield. Leah Golson carrying the threat constantly down the left-hand side. Aoife Mannion, the number 5 there, finding plenty of space down the right. And Maya Letizier, the United captain, will be very happy with her team's work so far, as will manager Mark Skinner. Millie Turner and Grace Clinton exchanging words. What a season this team is having, these players are having. Only 2 defeats in all competitions. The League Cup quarter-final defeat to Manchester City. And defeat to Chelsea, unstoppable Chelsea in the WSL. That sole defeat in the league. As they continue to go from strength to strength under Mark Skinner, a manager who is certainly by no means universally popular at Manchester United. There have been protests against him, calls for him to go at times throughout his tenure. But at the moment, his team are getting results. They might not be playing week in, week out with the verve and vivacity that many of their fans are calling for, given the quality at his disposal. But you can't fault the results, and they look well on the way to getting another W on the board against the WWs of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who themselves can take plenty of positives from this first half. But it looks very unlikely now that a shock's on the card. It would be a monumental shock if they were somehow to come back. You'd imagine it's going to be a case of damage limitation in the second half. Malot. Back to Letizier. Lovely pass from Mannion to Malot. He tries to thread it through. It comes back to Clinton. She was being closely guarded by 2 Wolves players and didn't have room to execute the shot. And it's in the hands of Beck Thomas, who can be really proud of her first half display. 2 wonder saves from the Wolves keeper. Nothing she could do about either goal. Flat-footed rather for the second, but I think Golson's shot may have taken a deflection. Is there time for United to get a third before the break. It's back to Clinton, gets caught under her feet. And she was unable to find Mallard with the pass. Turner. Clinton is fouled. Into added time. Can Wolves hold firm and ensure the gap, an almost 2 full division gap from themselves second in the 3rd tier to Man U second in the WSL. Can they stop the 2-goal deficit growing just before the break? High hanging ball headed across goal, and it's fallen again to Mallard, who's hooked it over. And she's gone down in pain too. I think she caught a Wolves defender as she took the shot on, or was caught in the process of taking it on. But it is not Melvin Mallard's afternoon. She's gone down clutching her right shin. Katie Johnson down for Wolves as well. I think they both went for the ball and maybe caught each other. Difficult first half for Melvin Mallard. The Cup's offering her a rare start, and the majority of United's chances have fallen away. She's not been able to take one yet. But credit to her, she's not ducking out of it. She's getting herself in there. She's getting herself on the end of the chances. The top strikers say, I always remember Alan Shearer saying, the time to worry is when you're not getting on the end of opportunities, when you're not getting chances. If you're remaining hungry, you're making the right moves, and you're getting in there as she is doing, then the goal will come. And so often when one of them comes, they just start to flow. Mallard joined last summer, or 2 summers ago rather, summer of 2023 from Lyon. Has been capped 24 times by France and scored 6 goals for her country. Was on loan last season, so the move became permanent last summer. Was part of the squad that won 4 Champions League titles over the years, Lyon. Still only 24. Mannion. Mannion goes long. Mallard's back in the fray and looks to be moving comfortably. It's good to see. Clinton. Clinton with a lovely weighted ball to Mallard with a high hanging cross, but it had gone out of play, or the flag was up rather, against Mallard. Merrick tries to hold off Mannion, but Clinton wins it back. Toussaint, who's been kept quiet for the second half of this half. It was very lively early on. And it's got another foray forward right at the end of this first half. Destiny Toussaint, can she work room for the cross? Well, the cross does come in. It's headed away by Turner. And referee Lucy May brings the first half to a close. The FA Cup holders look to be on their way into the quarter-finals. They lead 2-0. But Wolverhampton Wanderers of the third tier can take a lot of credit for the fight and the resistance they have put up against the team that carried off this famous trophy at Wembley last May. Half-time at New Bucks Head, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Manchester United 2. Let's take a look back at the highlights from the first half. Lily Simpkin entering the fray for Wolves, a half-time change. She's come on for Beth Roberts. So number 22, Beth Roberts, departs. And number 6, Lily Simpkin, who only signed last week, having recovered from the ACL that's kept her out for so long. It's great to see Lily Simpkin, the former Birmingham player, back playing again. Her dad Darren played for Wolves in the 90s, of course. She was an unused substitute against Rugby Borough last week, Lily Simpkin. Former England youth international. ACL derailed her progress at Birmingham, kept her out for 14 months. But she will now resume her development here at Wolves. And I'm sure she has so much to offer this team. And she's going to get 45 minutes here against the FA Cup holders. Early throw-in in the second half for United. Lead thanks to goals from Turland in the 26th minute and Galton 10 minutes later. Can they get an early one in the second half? Sandberg trying to win it back for United on the edge of the box. Wolves can take a lot of credit from that first half. Beck Thomas in particular between the sticks, 2 really smart saves. A couple of other stops too that were more comfortable for her. Destiny Toussaint down the right wing, really lively for Wolves. A couple of surges forward from central midfield from Tammy George, the former Spurs player too. But United, of course, bossed it. They dominated it. There was wave after wave of attack from them. Melvin Mallard missed several good opportunities. One of them a really good save from Thomas. Turland turned home the opener from a Mallard pass across the goal from inside the 6-yard box, and Leah Galton with a slight deflection off a drive from the edge of the box. Mallard, I thought, had won United a free kick, but Lucy May, the referee, unmoved. Just a reminder that United manager Mark Skinner made 4 changes to the starting lineup from the team that beat Tottenham last week. Sandberg on the ball there, the number 2 among them, coming in at the back. And Aoife Mannion too. Here is Sandberg with a cross in, and George tries to complete the clearance, but it is now with Toon. High hanging cross. Headed towards Turland, who gets the shot away. And it comes off Morfitt, the Wolves captain, and behind for a United corner. So there's United changes from last week. Aoife Mannion and Anna Sandberg starting at the back in place of Gabby George and Jade Riviere, who are on the bench. Grace Clinton coming in for Dominique Janssen, who's Played in every United game this season. We'll have to see if she comes off the bench in the second half. And Melvin Mallard in for Celine Bizet. He got a hat-trick in the fourth round against West Brom, but isn't involved at all today. Clinton. Shot deflects to Goldson. That's a United corner. Wolves team in full, unchanged from the Rugby Borough match last week at kickoff. And a half-time substitution, Lily Simpkin on for Beth Roberts. They've got Beck Thomas in goal, captain Anna Morfitt, Tammy George, Amber Hughes, Charlotte Greengrass. Both of those two have got 19 goals this season. Katie Johnson, Becky Anderson, Destiny Toussaint, Abby Jenner and Beth Merrick. Corner comes in. Headed down by Turland and Thomas Gavers. And the United lineup, Fallon Tullis-Joyce in goal. Sandberg, Letizier, Mannion and Turner. Toon and Clinton. Mallard, Golson, Turland and Miyazawa, who knocks that one out of play. United have got Gabby George and Jade Riviere. Defenders on the bench, Simia Ujo, Dominique Janssen, Jay-Z, the Brazilian international. On the bench, Rachel Williams too. Experienced FA Cup campaigner, scored in the final last year. Scored in the final for Birmingham way back in 2012 too. 12 years between her two FA Cup final goals. Rachel Williams. Tammy George takes a swig from the water bottle. Wolves number 7. It's the United number 7 who was on the ball with the layoff to Turner. Toon back on the ball. And Toon again outside the right boot, but given away. Turner. You would imagine it might not be long before Mark Skinner rings the changes. Will want to keep his players fresh. Sandberg, good first touch by the Swede. Turner, high hanging ball, headed down and taps home. United 3 to the good. It's Aoife Mannion who turns it home from pretty much on the goal line. A rare goal for the Republic of Ireland international. Ghosted into space. Slung out a right boot and taps home. A third goal for United early in the second half. Well, you could see how delighted all of those Manchester United players were for Aoife Mannion to find herself on the score sheet. Miyazawa. Some time since Aoife Mannion found herself on the score sheet as Clinton tries to slip that through to Mallard. It is her first Manchester United goal, so a special moment for Aoife Mannion. Mallard. shot right across goal and wide of the far post. Last scored, in fact, way back in December 2018 for Birmingham in a League Cup tie, which they won 6-0 at Leicester. So sweet, sweet moment for Aoife Mannion. Toon rattles one off. Oh, and that is a sweet strike from the England international. She can't stop scoring at the moment. Her 6th goal in 5 games. Guided that one exquisitely in off the inside of the post. Beautiful finish from Ella Toon. And United now in cruise control. 2 goals in as many minutes from Mannion. And a more regular goal scorer in the shape of Ella Toon. The 6th of the season, and they've all come in the last 5 games. And you just worry for Wolves now that it might start to slip away. I mean, the result is already beyond doubt, but the floodgates may have opened. Mallard is playing a wider role, it seems, in the second half. Visiting fans in really good voice now. Toon lays it off to Sandberg. Letizia gets the shot in and comfortably gathered by Thomas. There was real power on that shot, but it was straight down the middle of the goal from Letizia. Thomas did well, though, to make sure she gathered it first time. Didn't parry it back into the danger zone. Toon to Galton. Turland. Thomas gets the hand to it. Wolves scramble it clear. Picked up by Letizia. Turner. Toon. United hungry for more. I think it's great to see. There's been sometimes debate in the past about one-sided scorelines we may have seen in the FA Cup, even the WSL and even the World Cup, about whether the experienced pros. Galton hangs it up towards the far post. It drops to Mannion. Mannion with the cross back in, headed goalwards by Turland. Thomas gathers again. There's often debate about whether the professional sides, the elite, should take their foot off the gas. I think you show the ultimate respect when you just keep going. And that's what United are doing here. And Wolves will be doing their utmost to keep the score down. That's what they have to do. They're not professional players, but they are professional in mindset. And Destiny Toussaint, arguably their player of the match, along with Beck Thomas in goal. Gets the ball into the area. A rare moment where Wolves have the ball in the United box. And they've given away a free kick, have Wolves. And a yellow card is shown to Tammy George for the foul. Foul on Leah Galton. Tammy George caught her late on the edge of the United box, but she's hobbling back into action. We approach the hour mark. United have a place in the quarter-finals wrapped up. It's now a case really of how many more goals they will add to it, how Wolves can work to keep the scoreline down, and perhaps whether Wolves can create a chance or two and get what would be a famous goal against the FA Cup holders. How the fans who have packed out the new Bucks Head on this chilly winter evening would love that and deserve that in many respects. United certainly are not going to give them it easily. They barely let a goal in the WSL, let alone against third-tier opponents. And it's going to be a double change. Rachel Williams and Gabby George coming on for United, a triple change in fact. Jace also about to come on. Galton among those to depart, Sandberg too. And Elizabeth Turland. So Sandberg, Turland and Galton off. Rachel Williams, Jace and Gabby George come on. Great to see Jay-Z able to play this afternoon. Terrible news for her of late. Her brother sadly killed in an accident back in Brazil. And Mark Skinner talking this week about how she's obviously been given space and time to grieve, and that process will of course continue, but she's been able to find the strength to get back into the regular training and is playing there today. I'm sure, no doubt, with her brother very much in her mind, and doing her best for his memory, for her family, and for herself too, and for Manchester United. We will send our condolences to her and her family, as does everyone in the football world and beyond. And she surges through the middle here and finds Williams, whose first touch was a little heavy. Rachel Williams, who's now 37 years old, but has a real personal affinity with the FA Cup, a winner with Birmingham back in 2012 when they beat Chelsea on penalties. Scored in that game, scored last year as United beat Tottenham. Also a runner-up with Notts County in 2015, the game she played in. She has played in 3 finals. Also a runner-up with Birmingham City again in 2017, though she didn't play in the final that year. George is unable to bring the ball under control, and United win it straight back. Just confirmation of the substitutions. Sandberg off, Williams on. Vincent. Straight at Thomas. Leah Galton, who scored on her 150th appearance today. Also departing Gabby George. Signed from Everton the summer before last. Has recently fought her way back into the England reckoning. Won her 3rd cap just before Christmas under her first of the Beekman era. And Turland, who opened the scoring this afternoon, replaced by Jace. Big end to the season ahead for Gabby George, who's just laid that ball off. Certainly in Serena Wiegmann's thoughts now as we head towards Euro 25 this summer in Switzerland. Nations League begins again later this month as England head to Portugal and then welcome Spain to Wembley. Gabby George and Ella Toone and Millie Turner and Maya Letizier. Grace Clinton. All wanting to be on that plane to Switzerland this summer. 2 more changes for Wolves as Quigley comes on. And Josie Smith. Rachel Quigley and Josie Smith on for Wolves. Quigley, a 16-year career in Australia and also played in the USA and Korea. Former W League Player of the Year in Australia way back in 2009-10. The Wolves number 16 who's just come on. Brings so much experience to this side. Jace. Josie Smith was initially on a dual registration from Everton when she came to Wolves in January 2023, and a move that became permanent last summer. So Abby Jenner went off for Josie Smith. Beth Merritt also departed for Rachel Quigley. George with the layoff to Mallard. George loops it in. Thomas Gavers. George lifted it in towards Williams. And Jay's Rachel Quigley has often been an impact sub for Wolves. Can she make an impact this afternoon? The number 16 there, but she was nowhere close to receiving that header forward, which wasn't headed in her direction. She was never going to have a chance of getting there, Rachel Quigley. She has been on target 5 times this season, Rachel Quigley, 3 of them in the league, 2 of them in the FA Cup. Toone. Toone slides it through to Jays Clinton with the layoff to Mannion. Mannion hangs it up. Oh, lovely touch by Mallard. George back inside, cleared away. 3/4 of the game played. 4-0 to United. Wolves still fighting. Toone. Williams. Oh, lovely footwork by Clinton. Oh, it's off the angle of post and bar. Drops to Williams, who can't get the shot away. So close to a 5th. for Manchester United. Miyazawa. Manny into Jays. Turner to Toon. Tries to find George. Toussaint gets there and actually does enough to put George off and not concede the corner.
This evening's attendance at the Stadium is a Wolverhampton Wanderers winning record of 5,008.
What a record attendance for Wolverhampton Wanderers women. Announced over 5,000. I didn't quite catch from the PA announcer the exact total, but credit to everyone connected with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yes, Manchester United is always going to be a big draw, but it's credit too for the work that's gone on over recent years to get to a level where they would even have a chance of getting to the 5th round of the FA Cup and playing Manchester United. Simi Arujo comes on for Hinata Miyazawa, the Canadian 21-year-old. Started 2 WSL games this season and come on in another 8 has Arujo. Wolves' record attendance before today was the 3,834 at Molineux to watch them play Huddersfield in the FAWNL back in April of 2023. Headed on and well wide by Williams. Attendance of over 5,000 here, smashing that previous record. Their record attendance here at the New Bucks Head before today, 1,812. For the FA Cup tie with Brighton almost exactly a year ago. And more than 5,000 in attendance this afternoon on this historic day for Wolves. Jays pulls it in towards, well, it was heading towards Mallard, but good defending from Wolves. We've got another 20 minutes or so to go and to continue with the work rate which we've so impressively witnessed this afternoon from Wolves to try and keep this scoreline down. Can they get a rare opportunity themselves here? Toussaint. Arujo gets there, shepherds it back, and now it's with George. Simi Arujo carries it forward. And now it's with Mallard. Oh, she's offside. Just hasn't been her afternoon, but she has worked hard. She did create and set up the first goal. Mallard gives it away. Quigley. Oh, almost a lovely layoff from Quigley. Really strong run forward by her. And she looked to play it inside to Hughes. Amber Hughes wasn't quite able to get on the end of it. Mannion forward to Jays. Toon and Williams surging through the middle. Wolves defend well again, but it's given away. Drops to Mallard, deflected and behind for a United corner. And Turner's just refitting a boot, I think. Well, she's putting a sock back on. Referee Lucy May just comes across to check. Millie Turner has to leave the pitch. Gabby George with the corner for United. 4 goals to the good. 4 different scorers, Turlan, Galton, Mannion and Toon. Can they get a 5th here? Mallard with the header. Smashed back in. Clinton gets the shot away wide of the near post. Did well to work room for the shot, did Grace Clinton. But couldn't find the target. The Wolves attendance 5,008. Confirmed record for Wolverhampton Wanderers women. Mallard surges forward. Williams waves to where she wants it. Oh, and it was a lovely ball from Mallard to Williams, who was about a yard away. It would have been a beautiful goal because Williams, you can see her pointing to Mallard where she wanted it played, and that's exactly where Mallard played it. But Williams just got a little too heavy a touch on the shot. Thomas narrowed the angle. Williams whisked it wide. And it remains 4-0 to United. United scored a lot of late goals in the last round against West Brom. It was actually still only 1-0 in that 4th round tie against West Brom. Finished 7-0. Oh, and Tucson knew she was in an offside position when Quigley played it. So she couldn't make a move for it. Tammy George down on her haunches. Play resumes with a drop ball to Fallon Tullis-Joyce. It was in this minute that United went 2-0 up against West Brom in the last round. And Celine Bizet, who's not involved today, not even on the bench, got the first of her late hat-trick. Rachel Williams also scored twice in the final 13 minutes on that day. She is now on the pitch, of course, and just missed that last good chance for United. Mannion with the ball in. Toon was also among the late scorers that day in the last round. She's already been on target this afternoon and is still on the pitch. It's pulled back towards Williams, and United have another corner. Travelling pocket of fans in that far corner in really good voice, and in fact they are spread along this end of the ground. The United fans always travelling good number, among the most vociferous of the travelling fan bases in the English game. Ujo is dispossessed by Quigley. She herself loses out to George. And Awujo lays it off to Toon. Replays it to Awujo. Finds Clinton. Still Grace Clinton. Tries to lob it in, but Wolves hold firm and get distance on the clearance. Cross in and headed beyond Thomas. And United do have their fifth. And it's Millie Turner up from the back. And the flag is up. Well, she took it really well. Diving header. But United see a fifth goal of the afternoon chalked off, in fact, so it remains 4-0. Toussaint. George wins it back for United. Pass was a little behind Mallard. Back to Turner, who sees that goal disallowed. Quickly. Letizier to Toon. Heavy touch, takes it out of play. And it's going to be a fifth and final change for Manchester United as Marad Griffiths comes on for her Manchester United debut. The 17-year-old from Wales replaces Melvin Mallard, who had a frustrating afternoon in front of goal. He did set up the opening goal and kept getting amongst the action. Have to credit her for that. She is replaced by Marad Griffiths, who makes her Manchester United debut. What an afternoon for her. She was an unused substitute against Newcastle in the League Cup and West Brom in the last round. But she gets her first action in a United shirt this afternoon, this evening rather. Letizier. Back to Turner. George. George once more. Letizier. Jays keeps it in. Oh, and turns a full 360. The Wolves managed to get it out of their box, but not much further.
Come on, get through, come on.
Toon. Toon inside to Jays. Oh, is a whisker away. Wolves make their final change of the afternoon as Jade Cross, fan favourite, long-time servant, gets a chance to play on the biggest afternoon of Wolves history, and she replaces Amber Hughes. Jade Cross, whose twin sister Emma is also a Wolves player, not involved this afternoon though. The flag stayed down. It looks offside to me. Quigley drives it back in. And it deflects off Jade Cross and out for a goal kick. Jade Cross has been a part of all those big moments that I mentioned earlier for Wolves over the recent years. County Cup final successes, promotion from the 4th tier, 3rd tier title win, playoff final disappointments. She's been with Wolves throughout all of that. United on the charge again, looking for a 5th. Deflects back towards Clinton. Tizier to Turner.
Stay with her, Jay. Good. Well done. You may release now, Jay. Good. Well played. Good. Get inside the pitch first. Good. Well done.
Jays with the cross, and it's straight out of play and behind for a Wolves goal kick. Jade Cross has scored 3 times in the FA Cup this season. Also got a couple in the league, so she's on 5 in all competitions. Into the final 5. Wolves deserve real credit for keeping this scoreline down. Mark Skinner will be very pleased though with what he's seen from United this afternoon. They themselves have acquitted themselves professionally, taken nothing for granted, and kept their foot on the gas right throughout. Griffiths does really well there. Back to George. Turner inside to Letizier. Next up for United, at home to Crystal Palace in the WSL.
Be positive. Good.
Then after the international break, at home to Leicester. Those 2 right down the foot of the WSL. So those are 2 matches United would expect to bank 6 points from, need to bank 6 points from. As the battle for Champions League qualification intensifies, you'd have to say it's Chelsea's title surely now. They've only dropped 2 points all season. But United and City and Arsenal will tough it out for the final 2 Champions League spots. And at the moment, United sit ahead of those other 2. Is there time for a 5th? There certainly is time. Oh, and Thomas let it slip through her grasp. She didn't deserve that. The Wolves keeper has had such a fine afternoon, but neither can you deny Marad Griffiths the joy of a debut goal. A gift of a chance on her debut. But Marad Griffiths was there in the right place at the right time, and an unfortunate fumble from Thomas. As Turner headed down, Thomas couldn't hold on. It's the first mistake the Wolves keeper has made all match, but Marad Griffiths has the joy of a debut goal to celebrate. And United have a 5th right at the end. She's on the ball again here, Griffiths. Toon tries to play it through to Williams. Mara Griffith scores about 10 minutes into her United career. Late substitute, late goal for the 17-year-old. George over the top. Toon gets a touch. Arujo. A minute of regular time to play. Wolves conceded 3 in the final 2 minutes plus added time, this time last year against Brighton of the WSL. And United, they scored 3 in the final 1 minute plus added time against West Brom. So when the limbs weary among the part-timers and the amateurs, the added strength of the WSL professionals can often take its toll. It will almost be harder these final few minutes and seconds for Wolves perhaps than anything that's preceded. Still time for United to add to this scoreline. The challenge for Wolves now is to put everything in to keeping this scoreline as low as possible. They can take so much credit from how they performed this afternoon. They'll be back in league action against Sporting Calcer on Wednesday night. They'll hope many of these fans come back. In it comes and headed, in fact, away. And there is a head injury. Toussaint has gone down clutching the top of her head. She's had a really fine afternoon, Destiny Toussaint, particularly in the first half. Such a hard-working player. Hard-working to find the space, hard-working the way she carries the ball. Really took it to United with everything she had to offer. And Beck Thomas too there, standing hands on hips. Other than that error for United's 5th, has played so well in the Wolves goal. So we look again at Toussaint. Clash of heads with Rachel Williams. Toussaint is back on her feet. What a day it's been for Wolves. What a few weeks it's been really since the draw was made and they knew they were going to be hosting the FA Cup holders. Record attendance for them of 5,008. I'm sure they'll have a good few new fans on the back of the effort that they've seen their team put in this afternoon. High hanging ball in, headed down, and the flag is up. I think it's not going to count. The ball had gone out of play. Williams with the header. But United have a second disallowed goal of the afternoon. Griffiths with the shot away. Really good block by Jenna. Oh, and it's into the arms of Thomas again. Really good block by Lily Simpkin, rather, on her Wolves debut. deep now into added time at the new Bucks Head. Cross. Is there time for a goal to savour, a goal to remember? Cross is fairly challenged, says the referee, by George. She's not giving up, but it's not going to fall her way. Awujo. Turner. To Griffiths. Slips in Awujo. Awujo back. Toon will almost get on the end of it. Wolves clear. Letizier. There were 5 added minutes in the first half. We played 100 minutes this afternoon, and Wolves have done ever so well. Is there time for one last? Oh, Griffiths gets the second. She struck it with venom, and it was too hot to hold for Thomas. And it's a brace on debut for Marad Griffiths. A day she will never forget. Toon with the header back into the danger zone. It was tired defending, it was tired goalkeeping. But they're all worth 1 point. And Marad Griffiths has her second of the afternoon. Still we play on. Quigley tries to work the ball through to Cross. And there goes the final whistle. Manchester United, the FA Cup holders, are into the quarter-finals. And perhaps on course for a successful defence of the first major trophy of their history, which they won last May. Mark Skinner, how he would love to take United back. But what a day. The day really belongs to Dan McNamara and his Wolves players, who gave everything, the team from the third tier. They kept United down to 4 until the 88th minute. And then a late double from the United debutant, Marad Griffiths. But a record attendance of 5,008 at the new Bucks Head. I've seen Wolves give everything against a team who are second in the WSL, who have only lost 2 games in all competitions all season to Chelsea and Manchester City, but were made to work so hard. The quality told in the end. And Manchester United are into the last 8. Them and Aston Villa, who beat Brighton earlier this afternoon. The first 2 sides into the quarter-finals.